time now to take a quick look at the front pages of some select national dailies to bring you up to speed with the stories making the headlines today, Monday, March 4th, 2024. And we kick things off with a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today. Here's a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today. Tinubu to investors, report any official who demands bribe. This is part of his business investor summit in Qatar, and let's hope this works too. But I suppose in one way or the other, it's a bit, counterproductive, because you're pretty much indicting yourself if you say bribe is one of those issues that you have to particularly point out to yourself as president to say report anybody. How many investors can actually call the president directly to report anybody? That's another question, because I don't think the president's line is that direct for anybody to just call in and say, I want to report Mr. A or B. But of course, get to the details on page 28. Northern Elders Forum cautions against relocation of firefighting equipment. Lobby stars stun Katsina United 2-0 to regain top spot. This just shows you that the weekend is quite light on the news front. But of course, the biggest story over the weekend has been the looting in Abuja Nema warehouse, as residents loot Abuja warehouses, steal foodstuff and roofing sheets. Okay, now this I don't understand. If you're out there because you're hungry and you're looking for something to eat, what has that got to do with roofing sheets?
They are wrong in all aspects. So if you try defending them on the other side, then definitely, this is how Nigerians are. They take something even though they don't really need it at that time.
Yeah, I mean, you're hungry, you steal food, it's relatable. But roofing sheets, my goodness, I don't know. Nema beefs up security at own facility nationwide. Express your feelings responsibly, Shetima urges citizens. Hunger, responsibility, I don't know. When you're hungry, I think logical reasoning just goes out of the window. Address hunger, poverty, insecurity, Jibwis tells government. So there's a whole story and perspective on page 4. Customs opens 90-day window for vehicle regularization as far as its imports duty is concerned. More on that on page 24. Man who returned 100 million Naira gifted Hajj slot, cash, and a bus. On the Hisbah development in Kano, strong push for Daurawa's return. We understand that Governor Abba Kabir has visited the former commander of Hisbah, who may or may not return to his position following the governor's criticism of the modus operandi of Hisbah, which is the morality police in Kano. And at the bottom strip, war in Gaza. Israel kills Palestinians collecting aid. This has been in the news for quite some time. A lot of fact-checking when Israel backtracked on its activities, but also some of those aids were delivered by helicopter drops or by plane drops by the United States over the past few days, as the ceasefire and peace talks continue, with hopes rising that it may actually happen in the days to come. But that's it on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today.
Nigeria's terrorism index. The terror attacks decline amid new recruitments rise in violent conflicts. Now, this is the major story on the Guardian newspaper today. It says 10 countries most impacted by terrorism. And there is a breakdown of what is happening there. We see Nigeria GTI rank about 8. The GTI score 575. We have numbers of dead, injured, and even incidents that happen in Nigeria. So if you want to, get the details on that, you can take the page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Now, beside that, we see teachers endless wait for the federal government's promises of improved salary and welfare. I mean, for a while, the teachers have even been forgotten and pushed to the side. People are more talking about food now at this point. Yeah. States should account for money that they receive. Indeed, that is something that we've been pushing also for indigents of particular state to call on their state to, give them the details of what they do. Telcos may lose about 83 billion naira monthly over disconnected telephone lines. Hardship, the military, paramilitary to distribute food as hoodlums loot warehouses. Blame governors for restructuring delay and economic downturn. Banditry, police place 50 million naira bounty on 2 kingpins in Katsina. And experts blames the social media for mass failure in WAEC and others. Okay, that's another take on that one.
With the whole 50 million bounty, I don't know. Good move. However, do you think someone is going to cash that 50 million? Do you think the police has 50 million
to give out? We'll wait and see. Let's see a bold Nigerian that could quickly come and say, okay, I do have the relevant information and I of course need you to pay me my money. Nigerians would definitely call. Well, these are the stories that you would find on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, let's finally take a look at the first news front page this morning. Military forcibly took away suspected oil bunkerers from police custody, IGP tells court. So the back and forth continues between the Nigerian police and the military on this particular story. Current constitution cannot resolve Nigeria's economic challenges, according to Anyaku. Why is he saying that? Read the thoughts of the elder statesman on the pages of the first newspaper today. First News newspaper. Protests against hardship in a protest against hardship in a responsible manner, Shatima tells Nigerians. Police to arraign 19 BDC operators for alleged money laundering. Mob kills 2 policemen, injure 2 others in Edo. Quite a sad development there. Former minister tackles Tinubu over statement on bribe-seeking officials, accuses president of continuing Buhari's demarketing of Nigeria. As president says Nigerian youths are reliable, signs multi-sectoral investment agreements with Qatar. I would have loved to know which of the former minister is saying this, but I have a feeling I know who is saying this. You get a sense that the Tinubu administration and the former administration are not on the same page, particularly with regards to the rhetoric, even though Vice President Kashim Shettima was in Dora just a couple of days ago to pay homage to former President Muhammadu Buhari. 2020 audit report. Office of the Auditor General of the Federation asks Labour Ministry to account for 3.106 billion. Now, we brought you that story a little earlier. And how about this one? Something that a lot of the single young guys can relate. Even some married men also who stop at Meshai spot. Tea vendors lament low patronage over high price. A couple of days ago, they were complaining that there was no bread in circulation. But what? Am I not supposed to say young guys? Some married men too do enjoy the tea spot, trust me. It does taste better most of the time. But anyway, that's it on the front page of the first newspaper for today.
All right, let's come back to the studio. Joining us to review this, I hope my head don't get chopped off for the pronunciation. Suleiman Uvagaya, Skylight Media Group editor.
Just give up trying to pronounce it correctly.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. All right, so let's start by taking a look at the major story, lead story on the Daily Trust newspaper, where resident loots, Abuja warehouses. I mean, last week or last 2 weeks, we saw what happened in the border of Niger and Nigeria and Katsina, where people, were rushing a truck of spaghetti. And then right now there is this one. At the end of the day, even though we want to push to say there is hunger in the land, but then there is still the call for, doing the right in morality. So what is your take on all of this going on?
Well, I'm not entirely surprised. Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. And this has been so...
Of the world?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know whether did we take it back from India?
We keep.
Is it a give and take?
Yeah. I mean, just because of the numbers. I mean, they're doing well better than us, but we have more poor people, I think.
Well, I don't even know why India has been classified as the poverty capital of the world.
I think it's strictly because of the number.
Yeah, obviously because of the number. Otherwise, it is the fourth largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
So ordinarily, well, I think it's about GDP per capita. Of course, if you are talking about GDP per capita, Nigeria is also less than $5,000. You know, this very small country, Qatar, where our president visited, I had cause to mention it last week, that the GDP per capita is around $108,000. You know, so look at the huge difference in terms of
resource allocation.
Yeah, exactly, resource allocation and the ability of citizens to meet with basic demands, you know. So I'm not entirely surprised, back to the question you have asked, but certainly it can never be justified. There should never be a resort to anarchy. Definitely there is hunger in the land at very unprecedented levels. But then if we all resort to anarchy, it means the system will not work. It will signpost a total collapse of the entire country. Because what it will mean is that might will be right. If I'm stronger than you, I can just wrestle you to the ground and seize whatever you have. And no country will survive with that level of anarchy.
Indeed.
So government really needs to do something very fast, not just by way of protecting warehouses, as NEMA has done, getting the security personnel to maybe surround their warehouses. That is not just the solution. The solution should always be from its foundation. And what that means is that government must address the issue of hunger from its foundation. And there are issues, there are measures government can simply take. Where these foodstuffs and roofing sheets, it's so funny that roofing sheets were also included. It's a governmental warehouse, I understand belonging to FCT. No, NEMA has denied that it belongs to them, but it belongs to an agency under the FCT, a Federal Capital Territory Administration. Where are they even keeping foodstuffs? You know, at that quantity exactly. You know, government needs to be up and doing. It shouldn't be by mere rhetoric. I mean, let's be more practical.
We've been here before, haven't we? A couple of years ago with the COVID-19 pandemic, when the NSAS movement snowballed into this, because Nigerians were frustrated. They've been locked up for quite some time, and you know the economy was slowing down, and we saw the looting of the warehouses in search of food items, even though people were stealing things that were not in any way correlated to putting food on the table. Exactly. But do you get a sense that the government is dragging its feet in terms of trying to address what Nigerians are talking about, especially when it comes to hunger and starvation? Because the announcement of the 42,000 metric tons to, free of charge to Nigerians has not taken any shape or form, and it just seems to be lip service after lip service.
Yeah, I think you really have said it all. It's lip service after lip service. And governments really needs to be very realistic, very serious about this very serious matter. It's a very fundamental issue that can threaten the very foundation of our existence as a nation. When a people are hungry, they don't have control. I heard you complaining about people stealing roofing sheets, but you also said when someone is hungry, there is a tendency of that person losing his
sense of reasoning.
Otherwise, you can't explain why someone that is hungry should go about looting a roofing sheet. Of course, understandably, they may eventually sell the roofing sheets, but then the only excuse, if you can give them any excuse, is if they had limited it to the foodstuff. Of course, that is not justifiable. I'm not justifying it. Any resort to lawlessness should never be supported by anyone. The government really needs to do something. They need to be more serious, more focused, and appear to be very serious about resolving this weighty matter.
I mean, speaking on the government's, take on all of this, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, came out after this looting session happened, and he said that Nigerians should express their worries and grievances and concern more responsibly. Do you think Nigerians are not, airing their grievances well enough?
Honestly,
are they getting too much?
No.
I am definitely for the fact that Nigerians should not even loot, because there is no excuse. Even if it's hunger, I don't feel there is any excuse. But do you think that Nigerians have not, called on the government multiple times responsibly, even using civil societies?
No, honestly, with all due respect to the Vice President, I think he is wrong. Nigerians have, as far as I'm concerned, been expressing their worry over this hunger and the unprecedented hunger as responsibly as possible. Let's remember what happened over a decade ago, the Arab Spring. What triggered the Arab Spring? Was it a tea vendor, somebody, a street trader, whose wares were seized, and out of frustration he poured petrol on himself, ignited fire, and he ended up dying. And that ignited a fire that consumed many presidents, including Muammar Gaddafi, and changed the political economy of the Arab world. So we don't want that kind of thing to happen, and the Nigerians have, honestly speaking, been largely responsible. They've been bearing this hunger and deprivation with a measure of decency and decorum. And Nigerians should rather be
commended?
Yeah, they should be commended, because only a few of us are engaging in this kind of looting. Majority of Nigerians are just bearing it with equanimity.
I think we should all be given a medal or something.
Yeah, honestly.
Or perhaps just a better living condition.
Yes,
I think that's all we're asking for.
Exactly.
All right, let's push for what Abdul said.
Yeah, but in talking about the state of affairs, the president finally got his wish for the business summit in Qatar after the controversy around the arrangements and things like that. But he made a comment that is reverberating across the country, and some people are criticizing him for saying it. We know that Nigerian corruption have become synonymously known as twins in the international community. When you talk about Nigeria, the next thing you hear from the international community is corruption, especially at the governmental level. What do you make of his comments? Do you think that it's helpful?
Well, let me disagree with two persons, one of whom is you yourself, and the other is, I think, a former minister.
Yeah.
We saw it in one newspaper, one of the newspapers that you mentioned. I want to disagree with you because you guys believe the president was wrong by mentioning corruption or bribe in Qatar. But this
I said it's an indictment. I mean, most presidents know about the corruption in their country, but they don't go out and say, report to me, because that in itself just shows that the system is not working. If you have to report to the president directly, then
obviously what it means is that the president is really desperate about attracting FDI, foreign direct investment to Nigeria, and these are foreign investors who know everything about Nigeria, about the way we do things, about the fact that Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. They know about all these things. So it's better at times you own up to it, and by assuring them that, okay, that fear that you have, that if you come to invest in Nigeria, you are going to be asked to pay bribe left, right, and center, doesn't exist anymore. And talking about access to the president, you can provide access to some serious investors. It doesn't necessarily have to be a direct kind of access. Some of them he can provide direct access. I know that the Dangotes and some of the richest persons in Nigeria have direct access to the president. Of course, they are Nigerians, but there are also non-Nigerian investors that have direct access to the president. So a similar access can be provided to these potential business persons, because Nigerians tend to gain a lot from their investment, in terms of boosting our GDP, in terms of reducing the rate of unemployment, in terms of so many good things that will happen to our political.
So this is going to boost investor confidence.
Yeah, it will boost. You see,
a minister
why?
To add to that, a minister, a former minister, right, made mention that he is following the step of the former president, you know, of demarketing Nigerians.
No. I honestly disagree. Former President Barrow, of course, was very fond of demarketing Nigeria, but I do not think President Tinubu is into that. I believe he's just saying it as it is, and of course there could be arguments as to why the president himself should be the person saying it. But then look at it this way: if the president does not say it the way he did, that investor confidence will be lost, and these investors really need somebody at the very highest level to assure them that this is a new Nigeria, where some of the malpractices that used to be with us are now longer existing. So these are the kind of things the investors need, and I do not think anything wrong with the president.
Okay. Opinions are abound about this one. But moving on page 24 of the Daily Trust newspaper today, there's this story about customs opening a 90-day window for vehicle regularization. For Sumaya, who owns a vehicle, I think she needs to know what this means. And for other people like her, for instance, who might hear this and it will go over their head, what is the customs trying to do here?
Well, the Nigerian Customs Service has been engaged in total transformation since the beginning of the Tinubu administration. You know, for the first time in ages, after the era of Abdullahi Doko, who is now late, we have an insider in the person of Bashir Adewale Adeni, who is the Controller General of Nigerian Customs, and a lot of transformation has been going on. Specifically talking about the 90-day window for vehicle duty regularization, it is not talking about vehicles that have been seized or that have been condemned to the government. You know, vehicles after being seized get condemned, after which they can be auctioned to the public. So it doesn't include these people, but it's certainly talking about people like, certainly not Ajia Sumaya, who I'm sure her vehicle has all the necessary papers.
Don't be so sure. Don't be so sure.
Why do I feel attacked on both sides?
I'm just saying an opportunity is here for you. But go ahead.
There are a lot of Nigerians
I'll get that shit back.
You know, you probably were deceived into purchasing a vehicle with fake custom papers.
Right.
Now you've been given an opportunity to regularize it so that you don't get harassed. So the government, you know, you can travel anywhere with it confidently. So this is what the custom has done, and I want to commend the incumbent management of the Nigerian Custom for coming up with this very worthy initiative.
It's a course-correcting measure to say, listen, all the other issues that you might have, this is an opportunity for you to address it instead of just going out there to enforce it.
And it is going to reduce the frustration in the land. You can imagine a situation where you purchase a vehicle using your hard-earned resources only for it to be seized by officials of Nigerian Customs Service, who in any case are also doing their own work. Now that you've been given this window, it is up to those who are affected to rush by applying as the process says. You know, you simply submit an application which definitely is going to be approved. You make the necessary payment, and there you go. You can travel anywhere. There was a time I was stopped by some custom officials when I was driving from Kano to Abuja. Unfortunately, I didn't even have the original custom duty with me, but the paper definitely had the proper custom documentation. But I was allowed to go simply because I assured them I was going to. They were very civil in their approach. That was just a few months ago. So you can see there is a continuous reorientation on the part of the personnel. Some of them can be overzealous, quite all right, and it required time for them to get fully reoriented. So one hopes that in no time the current CG and his management are going to cleanse the system to ensure only the right personnel are serving in the customs.
Good one.
I'm sure he asked, Abdullah asked that question for himself. You're well equipped with the knowledge, right? Let's move on from that. I mean, it's still on the NIN and BVN, you know, link to bank's account. Bank have sent fresh reminders to people, and even in the midst of all of this, there is a tech glitch that manpower shortage delay banks linking NIN to account. So with all of this happening, these are things that Nigerians are saying it should have even been done way back when Nigerians were linking BVN.
Exactly.
They should have joined it with the NIN, but then we're doing it now due to a lot of insecurities happening and, of course, fraud, internet fraud. So what is your take on all of this? Are the bank even ready, with all the tech glitches happening?
We're not ready, certainly, and I'm certainly against this excessive regularization, do I call it that? We really need to be very careful about the way we keep changing laws, making life very difficult.
For Nigerians. You need to go to the bank to see the number of people queuing up to do this.
Exactly, and it's not even playing well in the interest of the bankers or the banking industry or the economy as a whole. Because I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to abandon their accounts and probably be keeping money in their homes or offices or a place of business. And that is not going to be good for the economy, because at the end of the day, the central bank will not be able to know the amount of money in circulation.
Right.
And if it doesn't even know the amount of money in circulation, it will hamper its ability to come up with monetary policies that will impact positively for the economy.
We also understand that Tier 1 accounts have been affected over the past couple of days since last week. And they have to follow the standard rules and regulations, because for the CBN, much of it has to do with addressing the illicit financial flows that are being, perpetrated using some of these accounts that lack the necessary, credentials and criteria that the CBN needs. But on a final note, if we can just take a look at two stories. One, the guy who did the unthinkable, returning 100 million naira that he found in cash. He's been acknowledged and rewarded. But also in Kano, Governor Abba Kabir met with Sheikh Daura, who just announced his resignation last week via a Facebook live post, following some criticism of the operations of Hizbah in Kano. Your two takes on this issue.
Okay, let me start with Sheikh Daura's potential return as Commander General of the Hizbah. You see, it takes a tremendous amount of courage for a leader to stoop lowly or to accept that he has made a mistake. Governor Abba Kabir really made a mistake, definitely unintentionally, when he made certain remarks about the operations of the Hizbah. Publicly, exactly. For me, he should have made those remarks privately by calling the Commander General or the management of the Hizbah. Having realized he has made a mistake and there was a resignation of Sheikh Daura, the governor took the unusual step of even visiting Sheikh Daura in his residence yesterday. The governor should be commended for this. Not every leader can do this to his subordinate or to his appointee. And we really need to commend him for that. And we also hope Sheikh Daura himself should listen to the clarion calls from all quarters.
Indeed. For
him to return as the Commander General.
Indeed. I mean, we wanted to hear your take on this 100 million gift, but I'm sure we would have to do it off there due to time. Of course, we have to take a pause here. But thank you so much for joining us to, discuss the front pages of the National Daily City.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
All right. And with that, of course, we have come to the end of Daybreak this Monday morning.